Hi, this is I'll Explain. This is another I'll Explore where I will talk about things that kind of rolling over my feet. So, the topic of the day is what if I can start over? What if my collection just go poof and I have to start again? Would I get G-Frame along with Robo Spirits along with HG? Or maybe even MG, but they don't really fit. And I have a HG menu instead of an actual built HG Zaku because I haven't built that one yet, and the one that I built is somewhere in the pile. So, would I go out of my way to get everything? On one hand, definitely not. I wouldn't say G-Frame is bad, but with how much Bandai is getting out of their HG Zakus, like the GTO version is just one of many Zaku tools that Bandai have made for HG. Even under the sort of HGUC guys. That is before we talk about all the pilot specific Zakus, or the Zaku variants, and all the Zaku adjacent mobile suit that came out of the Zaku mode. So on that note, it is kinda pointless to get the G-frames. On the other hand, the G-frames incorporated some elements that wasn't on the older HG Zakus, which I hope someday I would do it. How the original HG Zaku is kind of the Robo Spirit anime type style, and then turn into the more MG style, like, or rather how the G-frames get more MG feels in style, and then that in turn got translated into the GTO, and then the sort of HGUC revive or new HG Zaku 2 just go back to the more anime design. So there's that whole going back and forth between sticking to the anime to the being more realistic, which is why Zaku F2 exists in the first place, or Zaku FC, to be honest, exists in the first place. Now, obviously for GTO, they have the anime design being this. Should I move away? They have the anime design being like this, so the HG is a very good representation of it. But at the same time, it's not the original anime or even Okawara design, which is what the Robo Spirits were anime doing a damn good job with. So in that sense, you got somewhere in between Zaku as they are originally designed, Zakus that got improved over time to be more sensible, and then Zaku that tried to marry the two, and then Zaku that got a redrawn, refined, redesigned, remaster animation model, and that's easier to try, that would work with the physical representation. So if you just want a Zaku 2, you can just pick any of this. If you want a squad of Zaku 2, you can put all of these guys together and, do some forced perspective and you'll be fine too. So what I'm saying is, if I start over, I probably would get every one of these too. Now that is not to say I would not get a Zakuto in every single line for every single variant. For example, if I can get a Zaku Cannon or a Zaku Mind Layer or a high mobility Zaku in Hexi, I wouldn't look into Robo Spirit or G-Frame. Especially now G-Frame is more expensive. Now their MSRP, well, okay, G-Frame getting more expensive, sort of because they go to the FA route where they do give you more plastic, and because they don't have people build the inner frame for you now, they sort of balance it out for, giving the collectors or consumers the ability to quality control themselves, which I am a big fan of. Treating them as, Gunpla Light is what I feel it should have always been, instead of action figure plus. Anyways, the price hike is actually in line with the inflation happening in Japan, because the Japanese yen goes down compared to the US dollar, so it's justified. But then, because of all the logistic costs increase thanks to the plague, you would be getting G-frames for a higher markup because of that. Also, Hexi isn't getting more expensive. Hexi is more expensive than they ever were. Like, Bandai would do reprints at pretty much the original price, but I got to say, even the new prints are relatively low in price if you can get them from, it's not even official distributors, it's just good distributors. Like, there are official distributors that just have an unreasonable markup, and there are third parties that does the distribution a lot better. But also, the third party got a big axe because scrappers. So, anyways, point is, get the variants of Zakuto that you can get your hands on, to be honest, is what we are at this point. Because the Gundam fandom just exploded for the last couple of years, and it is just not reasonable for Bandai to scale all the way up. Like, okay, if Bandai had still be making Mobile Suit in Action, I can see that happening. And to be honest, Mobile Suit in Action is the line that I kind of regret that I did not collect, because Mobile Suit in Action is essentially G-frame that is actually action figures. For like, somehow they managed to make the Candy Toy product line to produce a line of action figures that is just consistent in size. They are not, scaled like the model kits, nor somewhat close with Robo Spirits. Like, no, Robo Spirits is not exactly 1:144 or 1:100 or whatever scale. They're close. Like, you can put them alongside Hexi and it wouldn't look out of the line, but they're definitely not done to be, Hexi scales. While Mobile Suit in Action is somewhere in between. Like, It is somewhat scaled like Robo Spirits and is made with traditional action figure materials, but the way they're produced is more like candy toys. Let's put it that way. The manufacturing technique they use is definitely a lot in line with what Bandai have been doing with candy toys. Anyway, the line is just dead at this point. What you're seeing these days, people doing videos on them, are just collectibles that the price ran up the roof because they just would not, like, Bandai would probably do Robo Spirits of whatever you had in Mobile Suit in Action, but they're not the same because Robo Suit in Action again skirt the line of the old HGUC, where they're somewhere in between the anime look and the scale model look, and they're good action figures but with typical action figure problems. So they are every bit of vintage toy collection, every bit of hardship of vintage toy collection. So I regret not collect that line at all, but I wouldn't seek them out now unless Bandai somehow revive them, which is kind of what Gundam Universe is, but not really. We would get into that sometime later, but yeah, that is that. There's also the Gundam Fix figuration line, which pretty much is dedicated to variants building of the same frame, which is kind of the predecessor of G frames, but they're called fixed figuration because they are supposed to be statues that may not even have like arm articulation, let alone elbow articulation. So the fixed figuration changed a lot. These days you will see fixed figuration and they would have decent movability, posability, but they're definitely not meant to be played with, unlike Robo Spirits, which is meant to be played with, but not as rough as you would do to typical action figures, which is where G-Frame is excels at. So, and HG's your mileage may vary. So all this is to say, if I start over, knowing what is available to HG now, to different version now, I might spend less time on G-frames. I might still get a few G-frames that is rare in HG form or scale model form, or they really have some unique, not even have to be unique. They are for example, I don't mind getting more Sakutus. Like I said, put them on the background so that you get a squad of Zakus without having to buy like free Robo Spirits. I'm cool with that. So yeah, I would definitely ease up on the G-frame, knowing what I know now. I would definitely pay more attention to Robo Spirits, especially the more fringe variants. At this point, I'm not even mad if I used to be mad is a bit too strong. I used to be slightly upset about, Robo Spirits doing a variant first and then they release a HG of that variant. Nowadays, it's a process. They sort of use things with less head cost or less or more reusability to gauge the fan reaction to release more, and I would support some of that depending on the mood and depending how fringe that variant is. Like Groove G5, I don't think Bandai will release a Groove C5 other than, reprinting the Robo Spirit anime, but even that would not come anytime soon. They had like 2 or 3 reruns at this point, and I don't see them doing it again soon. So, there's case like that. But, there are also cases like, do I really need another Saku 2 that is woefully standard and not in a specific Howdery color scheme? Maybe, actually. Maybe. Thanks for watching.